welcome back to the second episode of Tech Teens Talk, where I, Jersey Dave, interview tech professionals. Today I'm joined with Aarti Dongargaonkar, who is a leader in the tech industry. So let's start with just a quick introduction on your background, like where you went to school and how you got to where you are today.
Hi everyone, I'm Aarti. Yeah, let me start. I did my education, most of my education back in India. So I did my bachelor's back in Mumbai, Mumbai University, right? And then from there, I did my master's and in Georgia Tech. So I came for my master's, and that's the time I came to US. And this was back in 2006. I graduated in 2008. Did my master's from Georgia Tech in information security. And yeah, since then, I've been in the States, right? And I have spent some time in California. I was working in Cisco right after I graduated for like 7, 8 years. And then I moved to Atlanta. In Atlanta, I joined a startup. It's called Pindrop. And I've been in Pindrop ever since. I joined as a engineer, a backend engineer, and I've progressed my way. I've became a manager and then a senior manager, and now I'm a director here at Pindrop. And it's been an exciting journey here, and I'm happy to be talking to you all about that today.
Okay, thank you so much for joining to me today. It's not every day I get to talk with someone who works on cutting edge AI technology. So, to kick things off, AI is such a hot topic right now. Like, you can't scroll through the news without seeing something about it. So, for those of who might not know, can you explain what AI is at a high level and how it's transforming the tech industry?
Yeah, so AI stands for artificial intelligence. So it is a computer system which can make human life better. Like it can mimic human intelligence, right? After all, it's still a computer. It's a computer thing, right? Like it's not a real human, but you're trying to mimic human intelligence there, right? So AI has been in the industry for a long time, right? What is new and recently boomed is the generative AI part of it, right? In the last couple of years with ChatGPT and stuff, right? And so AI has been used, and with AI, there are terms like machine learning, wherein there are models which are trained, uh, you know, to identify patterns, right? So AI has been is used for analysis, for classification, for making predictions, making decisions, right? And that makes human life easier, right? Like, for example, identifying, faulty credit card transactions, right? So if we have a model which is doing that, it can basically, stop fraud from happening, right? So that is one kind, right? And Gen AI, the generative AI is more like wherein you're trying to create content, right? Using AI, like creating articles, right? Creating music, creating art, right? So you can musically give it a prompt and it'll generate that thing for you. Like you say you want to write an essay on this topic, right? And it'll generate an essay for you, right? And same with music, right? Now there are so many YouTube channels which actually just use AI generated music, and they can earn millions of dollars just by, having viewership for those.
Mhm.
Um, so those are two different things, but most recently, Gen AI has been booming a lot. But yeah, we can talk about what Pindrop does more, in this space. Yeah.
Okay. So at Pindrop, you said you're working on AI applications like fraud detection and deepfake detection. So can you explain how these systems are used to solve these problems? Like how is AI used to solve these problems?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me talk about what Pindrop does, right? So on a high level, Pindrop has products for three kinds of things. So there are products for fraud detection, there's product for authentication, and then there's deepfake detection. So three types. So the fraud detection and authentication products are basically in the space of call centers. So if you look at any FIs, financial institutions like banks, insurance, or even retail, like Walmart, Kohl's, right? These companies have these big call centers, which get like, you know, millions of calls, right, coming in every day. Many of these calls are fraud calls, right? So what Pindrop does is we capture these calls coming into the call center of these, big institutions, and then we analyze in real time if this call is a fraud call, right? So that is the first type of product, right? And we do that based on multiple factors, right? So it is voice is one part of it, but there are other factors like, what kind of device you're using, what kind of carrier um, you're using, right? Like there are these carriers which are like good carriers, but then we know like fraudsters generally use the, so-called bad carriers, right? Like so, there is also based on your calling phone number. We have a history of is this phone number has been used for fraud before, right? So there are these AI models which are trained with this information, right? And they predict based on the current call is this, using the previous call's information, we predict if this current call is a fraud call, right? So that is one application. The second application is more for people like you and me who call our banks and say, I want to access this account, right? Today, the call center agent has to ask you, what is your date of birth? What is your SSN, right? Last four of your SSN, like what's your mother's maiden name? So these are called KBAs, which is knowledge-based questions, like answers. And it is very easy to get this information about anyone from the dark web, right? You can buy this information. So it's very easy for the fraudsters to basically act like your drishti and get into your account, right? Bank account. While talk and then say transfer funds from your account to some other account, right? You can do that on the phone call. So what we do is we authenticate that you are the right person calling into this account. And that also we do using machine learning, right? So we know good calls wherein we know what Drishti sounds like. What is Drishti's device like? What is the carrier she uses, right? Like we have multiple factors and we have models which are trained for that again. And we figure out if you're the right person to call into this account. And what that does is we give that real-time feedback to the call center agent. So the agent doesn't have to ask you knowledge-based questions. It the agent, he or she will directly see that Pindrop has authenticated this person. So you're good to go. And you can do the transaction. And it's very difficult for a fraudster to generate the same voice as you, use the same device as you. So it's very difficult to fool our system, right? Pindrop. So that's fraud detection. Then there is authentication. We talked about that. And then the third type of product is deepfake detection, which is fairly new. It's we have products for it from since last year or so, and this came in as a need because of the boom of Gen AI, right? So with Gen AI, you can generate synthetic voices, right? The same use case I was talking about, wherein you call into your bank and say that you want to access this account, and you use your voice, right? But a fraudster can now generate your voice if they get hold of your recording, right? They can use that. There are so many tools available very easily, free of cost or very minimal cost, text to speech tools wherein you type the text, use a sample voice, and generate it. Right. So you can try that out. There's like 11labs.com. You can just, upload a sample of your voice and generate.
Mhm.
So there'll be synthetically generated voice. Now you can use the synthetically generated voice and use it on a phone call to fool our system,
Mhm.
right? That's one way. And there is a lot of other use cases where, this is Gen AI can be used for bad things, right?
Yeah.
So people post, voices of politicians to spread wrong message. This happened a lot during elections, right? They can use voices of the singers to generate content and try to earn money out of them without the singer actually getting any royalty for it, right? So there are so many bad actors in this space wherein Gen AI can be used as bad AI, right? And what we do is we figure out if this voice is synthetically generated or is it a real human speaking, right? So that is the fraud detection. So we have products in all these three spaces. The deepfake detection is the newest one
Mhm.
for us, and we are still creating new products because there's so many applications for it, even outside of a call center for a bank and other financial institutions.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so the deepfake technology is probably evolving and becoming more advanced. So, are there any challenges in detecting deepfakes when it comes to voices?
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about Gen AI platforms, and uh, they're getting just stronger by the day, right?
Yeah.
So the way, on a very simple level, if I have to say, like how we detect if a voice is synthetically generated, is we are try to see if there are some, there's like human pauses, like how we when we talk, we pause, we say uh, right, we
Yeah.
say some so which voices which are generated synthetically, you wouldn't find those human patterns in there, right? So but what Gen AI is doing is even the breathing noises, right? Like when I'm talking, I'm a little bit congested right now, you can hear me breathing from the mouth, right? Like that sound is part of my speech. And it was easier to detect that it's a human speaking because of these nuances. But as Gen AI is also advancing, you can see that it can even recreate those human behaviors, those pauses and those breathing sounds as part of the synthetically generated voices. So it is these are called artifacts that we are use to identify deepfake. But now, if we are seeing those artifacts being artificially generated as well, it gets more and more difficult.
Mhm.
And also, generalizing, there's a concept of generalization. So, wherein, uh, we have trained our models to detect deepfake from, if it is generated by these, say 10 models, right? But
Mhm.
tomorrow there'll be 10 more models which will come in the market, right? Because it's just evolving so fast. So you have to keep playing catch up. And in fact, you have to make your detection algorithm such that it is very generalized. So even tomorrow, if there's a new model comes up to generate artificial voices, your detection is already strong enough to capture that as well, right? And every time you don't need to train on new models because then you'll be constantly playing catch up and you will never be able to detect the fraud on the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I've also heard a lot about large language models like ChatGPT you mentioned that have
Yeah.
become popular. So does Pindrop use these models or any similar tools?
So large language models are basically used in Gen AI space, right? So wherein you want to create content, and they are basically used to learn like I didn't learn the languages of human and also generate language, right? So the large language models are used for like text to speech and those technologies. So we are actually on the other side of this, right? So wherein Gen AI is used to generate synthetic voices, and we are here to detect those synthetic voices, right? So we are on the other side of that. But that said, we are experimenting now with LLMs for some of the fraud detection as well, right? So to give you an example, like if uh, so I talked about call center, right? So call center agent and the end user having conversation. So using LLMs to uh, understand what that conversation was, because that can give us information about if this is a fraud call or what was going on in that, and use that. to train our models. So using LLMs to transcribe the calls,
Mhm.
using ASR, which is the automatic speech recognition systems, and which is again based on LLMs, right? To transcribe those calls and use that information to make our fraud detection stronger. So it's still more in the experimental phase. But you can think about it like our technology AI, Pindrop's AI is trying to fight the bad AI. So this is a good AI trying to fight the bad AI. Hmm.
Okay. So when Pindrop developed this I feel like trust is a big deal when it comes to AI. So how do you ensure that the AI systems you build are trustworthy, especially for something as sensitive as fraud detection or identifying deepfakes?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with, very sensitive data, right? So we work with the data coming, from banks, right? From insurance, from medical, like healthcare. So we need to make sure that all these, all this information is pretty secure. So we have these compliance that we have to, adhere to. So our data is stored in a way that not everyone has access to it, is encrypted when it's stored, right?
Mhm.
Even if someone gets hold of that data, they won't be able to actually use that data because it's all encrypted, right? Its data is also encrypted while it is being moved, right, from one storage to other. So even on the move encryption, and basically access to this data is very secure. So we have specific policies. Not all users can access it. We make sure that sensitive information is not logged somewhere or seen in documents, right. So there are multiple such security policies which are used so that we take care of the privacy of our customers.
Okay. So as you mentioned, AI is evolving rapidly. So knowing this and looking ahead, what are some things that you're most excited for in the future of AI?
Yeah, I think we talked about good AI and bad AI. There's definitely a lot of applications of good AI, right? And wherein it's going to make human life more easier, right? It's as simple as you want to write an article, right? You want to write, say, a story, right? It'll give you so many good recommendations to do that. So I think these applications wherein it's making human life easier, I think is going to keep evolving. Like it's going to be part of our life in every aspect, right? Be it work, be it school, be it um, art, right? Your hobbies, or be it even things like cooking, or there's so many applications, right, of it, and I think it is definitely going to make our life more easier. I mean, there are some jobs which can be then done by AI, right? But I don't think, we'll lose this battle to AI and AI will take over the world. I think it will be, I think we need to get smart enough that um, use AI in the right way so that it helps us and helps, um, technology in to take it to build things faster, to make, the products faster, make um, learning easier, write code faster. So, you can still think about a concept for a product. Like, I want to build this, right? I want to build this website. I want to build this product, right? And then AI can help you build it faster, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where AI will be super useful, as long as you use it in the right way and for the right purpose.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, as a teenager interested in tech, what advice would you give to young people like me who want to get involved in AI or like machine learning?
Yeah, I would say like AI is really exciting and fun space to be if you are interested, right? You should um, definitely, though, like work on making your fundamentals strong, right? So if you want to, be in this space, I think what is needed is like a very good concepts of mathematics, right? uh, like I work in the engineering, so I don't work really on building the models and machine learning models. The research team does it, like data scientists, and that is the role I'm talking about, right? Like if you want to be in the data science, right, machine learning field, I think they use a lot of mathematics concepts of probability, statistics, right, linear algebra, right? They are very important. Um, so develop a strong base, strong foundation in maths, then also computer science, right? So data structure, algorithms, right? Take courses related to that, make your fundamentals there strong, and also programming, right? Ultimately, it's all comes down to programming, AI. A lot of AI stuff actually uses Python. So if you're interested in that, learning Python as a programming language, is a good start. Then you can play with models like, PyTorch and Scikit and stuff, right? So I think maths, programming, and computer science, these I think are the pillars. If you, develop a strong base in that. Like I have personally never studied AI in college, right? Because it was not even a thing then, like maybe just starting, right? But I think as long as you have computer science fundamentals, you can you can learn new things, right? Because technology keeps evolving. So yeah, it's very important to have these strong fundamentals, and then you can keep learning throughout your career, right? And take up some courses, right? There's so many courses online if you're interested. Like during your breaks like this, take up some courses. Create small projects, right? In fact, my daughter actually, Maika, like she had worked on she submitted in a tech competition in the Fulton County. She won actually, wherein, of course, her dad helped her with that, but it was a good experience for her. So using Chat GPT, like to suggest what to make for dinner tonight, that kind of thing, right? So just very easy, you get so many no code tools now that you can use, and then use these readily available models like ChatGPT, and you can create applications and very easily. So definitely, try it out, and then you can decide what kind of specialization you want to do, right? Like because there are multiple streams, right? There is in AI, right? There is generative AI, and then there is computer vision, right? There is pattern detection, right? Fraud detection, that kind of a thing. And you can robotics is another type. So you can decide, like natural language processing is there. It's called NLP. So you can then see which one do you like more, and then you can do specialization in it. You can do like masters in it, or you can do research in it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. It was my pleasure.